Hi everybody, and welcome to this moonshot where we're going to see and learn how to loop through a list using a for loop. So loops are one of my favorite things in Python. They are so powerful, so handy, and can make you so productive. So let's jump right in. Looping in Python allows us to perform the same action every time in a list. Imagine that you have a list containing several million phone numbers, and you want to remove the plus symbol that appears at the start of international numbers. Looping through the list could accomplish this task easily and in a short space of time. The time to use a loop in Python is when you need to perform the same action on every item in a list. If you choose to go on and learn data science with Python, loops play a big role in cleaning data before putting it to use. Let's take a look at some examples. So down here in this code block, let me move up a little bit. So here in this code block, we have a list, and as we know, lists are created using square brackets, and they are assigned to a name or a variable. So here on the left hand side, the name of our list is books_available, and it's made up of just book 1, book 2, and so on. And again, as we know, items in a list, when they're strings, are contained within quotes and separated by commas. Now, here at line 4, we have a comment which we say define a for loop. So how do we define a for loop? Well, at line 5, we have for book in books available, colon, then a new line, print book. So let's run this and see what we get. There we go, we've looped through our list and printed it out. Let's discuss what we've just done. In the code above, we have a list containing 10 books for sale on our website, or our imaginary website. If we had to go through our list and use the print statement to display each book, this would be a long process. What happens if we have 20 books, 100 books, or 1,000,000 books? What happens when a book is no longer available for sale? At line 2, we've defined or we've created our list. At line 5 is where we define the loop. This line of code tells Python to take an element from our list of books and assign it to the variable book. So here at line 5. Again, this line of code tells Python to take an element from our list of books and assign it to the variable book. So the variable book is here. Line 3 should be familiar to you by now. Here we tell Python to print out the element that has just been assigned to the variable book. We have 10 items in our list, and Python will repeat lines 5 and 6 until there are no more elements left to print. Think of it this way. For every book in the list, books_available, that's our list, print the book. As you write more Python programs, you will discover that looping is one of the most common ways for a program to carry out repetitive tasks. In the loop example above, the loop begins at line 5. This line tells Python to get the value from the list, books_available, and associate it with the variable book. At line 6, we tell Python to print out the current value of book, which in this example is book 1. Python will continue this process until all of the items from the list have been printed out. When there are no more items left to print out, Python will move to the next line of the program. In our example, there is no new line, so the program ends. When you create for loops in Python, keep in mind that you can choose any name for the variable. We use book for book in books available, but you can use any name you like. It's best practice to try to choose a name that is meaningful, as it will not always be you who is reading your code. So try and make it as easy for the next coder as possible. Okay, let's move on. Doing more with for loops. So not only can we print out each item from a list using a for loop, but we can do almost anything to that item. So let's take a look. In this code block, we have a new list, books_available, and in that list we have 3 books, The Everything Store, Elon Musk, and Steve Jobs. So what we want to do now is, for book in books available, print out book.title, so print out the variable book, then use the title method on that, and say if the book is in stock. Let's hit Shift and Enter. There we go. The Everything Store is in stock, Elon Musk is in stock, and Steve Jobs is in stock. In this example, we have looped through each item of the list books_available. We've used the title method on each item, and then combined that item with the string is in stock. We could keep adding lines of code to our loop. So for example, let's take a look at this code block. So this code block, very similar to the one above, except here at line 7, we have a new print statement which says, would you like to order this book? So imagine you have an online purchasing system or an online ordering system, and you see that a book might be out of stock or you're about to run out of stock. Would you like to order this book? Yes or no, so we're asking for input. And then we have the new line character \n. Let's run this. There we go. Now we're not asking for input yet, but we'll get to that in a later moonshot. Now, as you can see from this output, the second print statement has printed out 3 times. Why has this happened? Well, it's because we've made it part of our for loop by indenting it. Every indented line of code after line 5, the creation of the for loop, will be executed once for every item in the books available list. You can add as many lines of code that are necessary in your for loops, and when they're indented, they are part of the for loop. After your for loop has executed, any lines of code that are not indented will run once without being repeated. And there's a spelling mistake there. My spelling errors are killing me in this moonshot today, but there we go. Let me read that line again. After your for loop has executed, any lines of code that are not indented will run once without being repeated. And let's take a look at an example of that. So I have the same code block again, or very similar code block again, sorry. And as you can see here at 9:10, I have new lines, a new comment, and a new print statement. And the print statement reads, note, there is a 5-day lead time for all orders. So let's hit Shift and Enter. And as you can see down the bottom, our note string, or our note piece of text, only printed out once. Okay guys, that's it for this brief moonshot on Python for loops. Hopefully that's a little bit of exposure, a little bit of encouragement to get you started with loops. Any questions, please feel free to ask me in the discussion section, or do check out the Beginner's Python course. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.